Okay, so problem number 1, they want you to figure out what value of x makes that equation true. So you're trying to figure out what x value, what number you can plug in for your x, and I'll have both sides equal each other. 2 ways to go about this. The first one is by hand, doing actually the hard work, the math. So if you actually did this by hand, you start by drawing your line through your equal sign. Essentially what this is telling you to do is to solve for x. So we're going to go through and we're going to solve for x. If we look at our problem, the first thing you should realize is that you have 2 x's currently. I have 2 x's and parentheses, both of which stop me from going through the process of truly solving at this point. So whenever we do this, we're looking at our order of operations. I'll move this over a little bit. We're looking at our PEMDAS, and we're trying to go through and undo this process. Right, do PEMDAS backwards. We can't do that yet because of those parentheses. Both of our parentheses actually have a number in front of them, which means they're currently stuck. We have to get rid of the number in front before we can do anything else. So what I'm going to do with the 1/2 is I'm going to take it and I'm going to distribute it in. So I'm going to do 1/2 times x, which would give me 1/2 x. Then I'm going to take 1/2 times a positive 3, because that plus sign, and it would give me a positive 3/2. 3/2 are 1.5.
So would you prefer to use the 3/2?
Would it make you feel better to use the 1.5? Okay, we can do the 1.5 instead of 3/2. So if you multiplied it in your calculator, 3 times 1/2 would give you 1.5. Bring down the equal sign. Then on the next side, I still have to distribute in my 2. I would take 2 times x, which is 2x. Then I have 2 times a negative 3, which would give me negative 6. At this point, again, wanting to solve, I can't totally do that yet because I do have those 2 x's still. So I'm going to work to get those x's together. Which x should we move? What do you think? The fraction, the smallest one, is the one you usually try to move. So I'm going to move away that 1/2 x to join the x on the other side. Right now, this is a positive 1/2. So how do I move it? You subtract it. So I'm going to subtract it. What is 1/2 if you're dealing with decimals? What is 1/2 as far as a decimal? 0.5. So I'm basically subtracting 0.5x from both sides. Again, I just converted the fraction 1/2 to a decimal. Make it easier to work with. So on the left-hand side, those will cancel each other out. That was the whole point. I would bring down 1.5 equals 2x minus 0.5x is going to leave me with 1.5x. Again, that math you can do in your calculator if you need to. Minus 6. And I am going to run out of space. Okay, so from here, now we can start undoing our order of operations. We have just one single x in this problem. My x currently is on the right side of the problem, so those are the numbers I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the 1.5x minus 6, and I'm going to start doing my PEMDAS backwards. So I look for any addition or subtraction. Do I have addition or subtraction on the right? Yes, they are subtracting 6. So if they're subtracting, in order to get rid of it, we would have to add. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So you get, 7.5 equals 1.5x. Once you've taken care of the addition and the subtraction piece, you move on and look for any multiplication or division. Again, you're looking at your x. So looking at your x, is there any multiplication or division happening to it? How is that 1.5 attached? Through multiplication. So if they're multiplying, we would have to, that's right, they're multiplying by 1.5, which means we divide by 1.5. And I ran out of room. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1.5. That was a 1.5 on the other side. And from there, 7.5 divided by 1.5 is what? 5? Yeah? Okay. So you get 5 equals x. Okay?